What's up, humans, and welcome to a new Psicoactivo. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Thank you for responding so well to my previous video. That was kind of difficult to make because this is the first time that I try to do something like this. I'm always very weary of when people approach me with information. The people that know me in this field know that I'm very, very jumpy. And even when Axelrod, the civilian Axelrod, approached me through his lawyer, Ivan Hanel, I initially said no because I wanted more information. And the fact that he was anonymous, that always makes me rethink whatever I'm investigating. The thing is, I got to see a lot of the receipts and I got to talk to Axelrod, and I realized that this statement was worth sharing. And I want to thank both of them for their help, and I want to thank Craig Oliver for his contribution to this. So, Jesse Michels just released the episode about the Nazca Tridactyls, and surprise, surprise, I was there. I was invited by Jesse to talk about the problems that the Peruvian Ministry of Culture has been engaging with against Mr. Jaime Maussan. I know that Jaime has always been a very polarizing figure in ufology, especially in America and in the Five Eyes countries. But my experience with him, he was my first interview on the channel, and my experience with him has generally been a good experience. He's always treated me well. I can't say the same thing about some of the people surrounding him, because Jaime became a machine of content. He became an institution. He has his own channel, for God's sakes. He has to respond to clients. He has to respond to sponsors. And at some point, once you get past a certain threshold, you no longer have full control of what you're doing. You're the face of a machinery, but you don't control what you do. That's why I keep considering to just remain really small as a channel and just work with a couple of people, and that's it. But this episode has a number of different really shocking parts. One of those was a conversation that I had with Mr. Terry Jamal, who is the director of the Incari Institute in Cusco, Peru. Thierry is a Frenchman. He's an explorer. He has been investigating the Tridactyls. He's part of the initial team of the discovery, and he has his problems with Jaime Maussan's team. He's leveled really serious accusations against them that have to do with even trafficking, and that has always been one of the main issues that is not really that much talked about. Thierry has this philosophy that he wants to protect the people within the town of that area where the site is. But what he told Jesse in an interview was very confusing to me, because he told me this in confidence, and he was very adamant that this could not be known. I had no idea that there was a book that came out in the early 2000s, I believe, about the site and about certain words that are used to describe the site from the Nazca culture's language. And he said it to me. I didn't really look into it that much because he told me that it was like something very secret, but he told it to Jesse. And I found out that this is from a book, and the book is out there. It's very obscure. Not a lot of people knew about it before today. Now we do. And now I can talk about it. So that's what I'm going to do. Let me play you the clip from Jesse Michels' American Alchemy episode so you can see what I mean. This is when Jesse spoke to Thierry about this. Here it is.
But listen to what Thierry had to say about the general region that the mummies were likely found in.
And there is a little book published in 2004 by a local author from Nazca that talked about various sites in the Nazca area. and it precisely talks about this area and mentions the name of the site where the discovery was made. And it says that this name comes from the word such in the Nazca language. And in conclusion, it means laboratory where cloning and hybridization were done.
You heard that correctly. Humana or humana, which is a word from the Nazca language. According to this book, it means laboratory of insemination and cloning, or hybridization and cloning. This is really puzzling to me. The matter of where the site is located it still remains a mystery. I think that none of the both groups that have been looking into this know full well where the site is. And this word is constantly spoken amongst the people within the region. And just think about it, the implications of that. And I just go back to Dr. Celestino Piotti because, and Jesse did not include Dr. Piotti's investigation here because I told him that I believe that we need to go to where Piotti is and talk to him at length about this because he's one of the few people who are able to truly understand the whole meaning of this. He's been investigating the cranium of these specimens because he's a craniometry specialist. And the statements that he made at the Mexican hearing a couple years ago were truly shocking to me because he claims that based on the cranium measurements of the specimens, both the M types and the J types, he is convinced, he even wrote a book about it. He is convinced that these beings are our descendants from the future.
I will be very brief in what I am going to tell you. I will narrate and then I will share with you the result of what I investigated in these cases of the Nazca mummies. I always want to clarify that I started my investigation strictly from the scientific method applied to medical science, meaning the scientific method where I have no chance to alter the results, which are purely mathematical and not subjective. Whether I like them or not, I simply have to adhere to the scientific method. So I resorted to profile skull x-rays, enlarged them, and introduced a series of angles, triangles, polygons, anteroposterior lines, etc. And I measured them. The result gave me a purely arithmetic answer. I got numbers. After that, I retrieved measurements that I had saved from the time I presented my thesis in 2001, where I was able to demonstrate that there are a series of different sexual dimorphisms in men and women based on the humerus and sacrum bones, which are different in men and women. So those indices that I had saved in my thesis, I compared them with these and I found something very curious, which was not something completely opposite from one to the other, from humans to these beings that we don't know, but a very close zone to them. So if you have a ladder where you want to add one more step, the results of these beings perfectly allowed me to add one more step to the evolutionary scale of man. Then I also compared it with the theory of evolution that I proposed, opposed to Darwin's, which I called the Guardian theory in 1980, and I got the same results. After that, I was able to determine what type of brain these people would have had, and I am already calling them people. Why? Because the final numerical result I get is that they are not individuals of the past or the present, but they are from the future. So, this means that these two beings, Maria and these 60 centimeters tall beings, should have existed in the future and not in the past 1000 years or 1700 years ago. The scientific method cannot answer me, therefore I cannot do it either. Why do they appear in the past and instead of appearing in the future when our current human species is disappearing? So Maria would be the last link of our human species that is evolving into another, a new species. Therefore, Maria would have part of her human genetics and part of a different genetics. In contrast, the shorter beings would be entirely from an evolution of a species that will come after us. In summary, they would be our descendants. I will leave it here. I don't want to keep talking. I want you to share it with me and think very carefully about what I just told you. That's all.
And if you guys haven't checked out the entire lore of ufology, there's a lot of signs that point towards that. Dr. Michael Masters has a book called The Extratempestrial Model. Basically, it's his own future human hypothesis. And Dr. Piotti reached similar conclusions to Dr. Masters through those craniometry measurements. And that is extremely shocking to me. But I had a conversation with Piotti in private once. And one of the things that I asked permission from him to share was that he was talking to me about the site itself. And he was telling me, you need to understand, Pavel, that this site, when people found it, they found bodies that are carbon dated differently. So you got bodies that are 700 years old. You got bodies that are 1,000 years old. You got bodies that are 1,700 years old. You got the long ass hands, the one that Representative Burleson grabbed with his own hands, that are 6,000 plus years old in carbon dating. And somebody put those bodies from different eras in history in that place. How is that possible? And I wondered the same thing. And now that this came out, this is truly one of the most shocking revelations of the entire case. And when I heard this from Thierry last year, I was shocked. I was like, this needs to be known. And I understood the logic that Thierry used back then. But now that he spoke about this with Jesse, I think that it needs to be way more public than it is, because there's no better disinfectant than sunlight. And I think that people need to know about this place. And I think that people need to pay more attention, because this is one of the biggest signs and one of the biggest clues that could help humanity understand our own past. That whole region, the Nazca, Palpa, all of South America, is rich in history about ancient civilizations, ancient cultures. Every geoglyph, hieroglyph, artisany, it has tridactyl beings depicted all over. And I think that we need to pay way more attention to that.
Now, how did they appear? There is no precedent. There isn't. There are no three-toed hominids. However, upon finding that their DNA may have been mixed with genetic technology, if you go back 1,800 years, it's crazy. It is likely that a civilization more advanced than ours made that genetic mix. And it is likely its creators are probably from elsewhere.
This is a wild claim, and it's what they were getting at with this name in this book. I don't know what you guys think about that. I think it's pretty significant and shocking. Let me know what you think in the comments. I got another video for you guys that talks about the very end of this episode that is even more shocking than this, that is kind of related also to DNA analysis. But we'll leave you with this. Let me know what you think. If you like the content you see, I'm going to ask you to like, share, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. That's all you need to do in order to help us, and it is what helps us the most. So thank you. But if you want to support us in any other way, there's a few links down there you can choose from. You can become a member on YouTube, or you can support us through KGRA. Anything you choose to do is always very appreciated, so thank you. That's it for me today on this video. But I'll see you guys in the next one. Remember, stay curious and inquisitive like Jesse Michels and Gonzalo Chavez. Always. Bye.